Officer Jeremy Martin Wilkins, Chandler Police Department, Arizona. Officer Zachary, Cottongim, Louisville Metro Police Department, Kentucky. Officer Chad P. Christiansen, Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs. Sergeant Kevin Redding, Haverford Township Police Department, Pennsylvania. Officer Mia Goodwin, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, North Carolina. Officer Keona, Holley, Baltimore City Police Department, Maryland. Agent José Ferrer-Pabón, Puerto Rico Police Department, Puerto Rico. New Jersey Battalion Chief John T. Ruddy, Jersey City, New Jersey. EMT Joshua Zaborowski, Dayton, Texas.
COVID if you have these vaccinations.
These vaccines are highly, highly effective.
Vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
They're really, really good against variants.
Everyone who takes the vaccine is not just protecting themselves, but reducing their transmission to other people and allowing society to get back to normal.
Get your first shot, and when you're due for your second, get your second shot.
A key goal is to stop the transmission, to get the immunity levels up so that you get almost no infection going on whatsoever.
When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
If you're vaccinated, you're not going to be hospitalized, you're not going to be in an ICU unit, and you're not going to die. If you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask.
Anyone who is fully vaccinated can participate in indoor and outdoor activities, large or small, without wearing a mask or physical distancing.
But what they can't do anymore is prevent transmission.
We didn't have vaccines that block transmission. We got vaccines that help you with your health, but they only slightly reduce the transmissions. We need a new way of doing the vaccine.
The level of virus in the nasopharynx of a person who's vaccinated and infected is the same level as the level of virus in the nasopharynx of an unvaccinated person.
Reports from our international colleagues, including Israel, suggest increased risk of severe disease amongst those vaccinated early.
And if you look at Israel, which has always been a month to a month and a half ahead of us, they are seeing a waning of immunity, not only against infection, but against hospitalizations and to some extent death. A booster might actually be an essential part of the primary regimen that people should have.
Plan is for every adult to get a booster shot.
Clearly one of the best investments I've ever been involved in.
Lies!
Unreal.
Welcome back to American Sons podcast. My name is Christian.
And this is Hunter.
We just want to start with that because the flip-flopping is crazy. That video comes from a Instagram page called Some Guy Named Bill. Yeah, that was the first time you've seen that. So what do you think about that?
Boy, has the narrative changed once again.
Big time.
Move the goalposts even farther back. That's what it's been for the entire year and a half now. Constantly. Goalposts moving back. Oh, you almost had it. It's just like that guy on the commercial with the dollar bill with the fishing pole.
You almost had it.
You almost had it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I think I talked about it. Also, Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope everybody had a great Christmas.
Santa Claus came to town.
So last episode, I think I talked a lot about, I can't remember what I said 2 weeks ago, but I think it was a lot of the flip-flopping stuff that's going on.
We did. We talked about that.
Pretty obvious. And it's crazy because people are still saying, like, you actually have Fauci and all them saying now, like what they're saying, like, oh, the vaccine will just keep you out of the hospital, which it won't. It'll keep you out of the ICU, which it won't. But you have people who are still trying to preach that the vaccine, you won't ever get COVID again, which is what they were saying at first.
Sure.
It's like the general public's like 6 months behind on everything. Yeah, so that came from some guy named Bill, and we just wanted to play that because a lot of those videos are coming out. And
time tells all, man. I mean, I'm a hard believer in time heals all wounds. Time tells the truth. Even though the truth may hurt sometimes. The truth hurts. Guess
Yeah.
what? You can still catch COVID even if you are triple vaccinated, boosted, whatever.
Yeah.
My personal opinion here, okay? I think there's going to be a new variant every 6 to 9 months.
How long has it been since Delta? When Delta first emerged?
6 months. It was like June.
Quote unquote Delta.
It's like June, wasn't it? I think it was June.
Yes, it's something.
I was
like
right after my birthday. My birthday's in May, so they're talking about it then. Delta. Oh my gosh, Delta. So
that. So about 6 months. So
it was
like
6 months
the flu.
because it was a summer surge.
Yeah,
they
that's
called
what it was. Yeah.
And then they blame Florida. Like, oh, look in Florida. It's all maskless and people are running amok and they're free. They're the highest, Florida and Texas are the highest cases for coronavirus, yada, 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 yada. Well, guess what? Flip-flop. Here we are in the wintertime. The two most restrictive states, you have New York State and you have California. The two biggest, well, I guess New York's got a new governor now because Cuomo got screwed on that last one, or he screwed himself, I should say. But you got the two biggest states with the most restrictions have the highest numbers of COVID positive cases right now. I mean, boy, is it flipped back and forth. So that goes to show and prove masks do not work. Earlier in the few episodes I had it as, and I wish I could take all day and time to go back and look at it. But I remember Larry Hogan, our wonderful governor of Maryland, said, I remember him saying on a press conference, he's like, hey, he's 96% of Marylanders are wearing masks, mask compliant. This is like May or June of last year when everything was like still closed down. We were like, oh no, what's going to happen? So he said 96% of Marylanders are compliant with the mask, yada, yada, yada. But we're seeing spikes in the cases, positive cases.
Crazy.
Okay.
Seems like they don't
What
work.
is it? Oh, thank you. I've said it then. As soon as he said that, I'm like, I called it. I'm like, masks don't work. If I can smell a fart, masks don't work.
Listen, unless you're wearing, like, I will say the N95s with like the
Yes.
filter in it.
Yes.
Those will probably do something.
I agree.
But if you're wearing a cloth mask, like the blue ones,
Yep.
or you're wearing like one of those tube masks, it's not doing nothing. And
Yeah.
a lot of the boxes actually say this is not made to protect from coronavirus.
That is correct. It is. But I remember also, I tried to do a mask burning event at the restaurant. It was a fun Saturday night thing. I was like, hey, I'll just put a 55-gallon drum out there, a few things of wood. We'll just have a mask burning thing. And that could be like an entry instead of a cover charge into
it's like burning all your homework at the end of the year.
club. Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember doing that. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But no, I got scrutinized by that on Facebook.
Did you really?
Yes. I got scrutinized for it. Everyone's like, oh my God, there's a mask shortage. How dare you want to have a mask burning thing? I'm like, guys, your masks get dirty, don't they?
Yeah, those blue ones. Those
bring
blue
your
ones.
dirty masks and like burn them. Anyways,
Those. So 2 points off of that. The blue ones are only supposed to be for like
One use.
One use.
Yep.
Yeah. And also,
Yep.
Holy crap! I'm brain farting. Also those masks. If COVID is so like dangerous, why is there no place to properly dispose of them in like a biohazard?
yeah. That's,
Like,
that's a good one.
Like if COVID was so bad, you would think the state would put out like biohazard trash cans where you could dump off masks.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, because they're saying that the masks were. I remember a year ago too. They were doing the tests about the surfaces. How long can coronavirus last on a surface? Is it cloth surface, or is it wood, or is it metal?
Yeah.
Remember that whole like
Yeah,
test
and it was
to
like
it.
seconds or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
it was like seconds on one, and then how much the UV light doesn't like sunlight, and it's just, I don't know, all that mixed information back then. Okay, well, then they pushed it to, it was 2 weeks to slow the spread, then they pushed it to the mask wearing, and then they pushed it to some restrictions, 25%, then 50% capacity, and then it was back to 25%.
Yeah.
The bottom line is the government and everybody else has just been moving the goalpost further and further and further down the line.
Yep.
Here we are, present day, at the end of December of 2021. Shoo, what a year. I can't wait for it to be behind us and look forward to 2022. But at the same time, what does 2022 have in store for us? Is it going to be more of the goalpost moving back, pushing back? Does it have anything to do with the fact that Fauci wants to start mandating masks on domestic travel?
Yeah, it's interesting. So that was a good segue, I have to say. I had something else pulled up. Now I have to pull this up. Thanks a lot. So Anthony Fauci says that the United States should seriously consider requiring Americans to be vaccinated in order to fly domestically. So the full quote, this comes from an Instagram page called Real News No Bullshit. And the full quote from Fauci says, "When you make vaccination a requirement, that's another incentive to get more people vaccinated. If you want to do that with domestic flights, I think that's something that seriously should be considered. The group we're really concerned about is the unvaccinated people, because even if this virus is inherently less severe, just the volume of the number of cases that we're going to have could actually put a stress on the hospital system." So when he says less severe, I believe he's talking about Omicron or whatever, the new variant. So I really want to pinpoint, obviously he's an idiot.
Yes.
I don't know who follows this clown anymore. He's lied to Congress. He's lied multiple times. He's lying right here. But I want to pinpoint something in this last line. Just the volume of number of cases that we're going to have could actually put a stress on the hospital system. So two things here. The first thing, we're seeing, quote unquote, a surge in cases right now. Okay.
Yep.
And
it's on the move again.
Point number two, I know. Point number two, he's saying we're going to see the hospitals getting or more stress on the hospital system, to use his own words. One thing contributes to both of those things, and that's fear being pushed by them, by people like Fauci. Because my point is, you have these mass testing sites, and a lot of these positive tests are people who don't even have COVID. They just still have COVID in them from having it months prior, and they're testing positive. The more people you test like that, whether they're sick or not, obviously you're going to have more positive tests.
Sure.
And they're using this data to push this Omicron variant when it's just not true. Yeah. And the second thing is, people are going to the hospital that are not really even that sick, that don't even need to be in the hospital. And that is probably putting stress on the hospital system.
Yeah, they're just freaked out by it. Oh, I got the sniffles.
They're scared.
Yeah.
And so they're going to the hospital.
Thank you, news agencies.
Yep, for something they could literally stay home and drink a bowl of chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
And be fine.
Yeah, you could. People are freaking out about this. I saw a girl, and this image just stood out in my head. I'm not going to mention any names, but I always thought she was a Trump supporter, backwoods country bumpkin. She's a pretty girl who's got 2 kids, and she likes to hunt and just the country kind of girl. Well, she's got COVID, and of course she goes on Facebook and just freaks out about it. And I saw Christmas morning, she posted a picture, and the picture was of her 2 kids sitting 10 feet apart from each other, under tents, outside. Now, thankfully, it was like 65 degrees.
Yeah, it was pretty nice outside.
On Christmas Day, but they had a blanket on the ground, a tent, 10 by 10 tent above each one of them, and each of them had their own presents in front of them. And she took a picture. She is positive and has it. And then she's taking a picture from like 20 feet away from her kids. Like, Merry Christmas. This is how my Christmas is. I'm sitting there going like, the damage this has to the kids. Like, I completely lost respect for her as far as like, this is sad.
She's an idiot.
Yes. Like, this is sad that you're making your kids do this. I get it's Christmas. I get you have them. But like, man, it's like they can't go near each other, let alone her. And I get it yourself. Sure. But
2 kids, this is just a case of the sniffles.
Yes.
Literally, the CDC data shows that,
yep.
Which I think is still skewed, but it literally shows that.
So, the last time I was on here and recorded, I didn't realize it, but after, I don't know, was it 5 days afterwards, 6 days afterwards, I started feeling little sniffles myself. So, what ended up happening was, it progressively got worse to the fact that it felt like a head cold. Woohoo! That's all it was. Lost taste, lost smell, And then I said, well, I already self-diagnosed myself. I already know what this is because I've had it.
So you went
September
and got your pregnancy test? from your
2020.
Chick-fil-A?
Yep. I had my pregnancy test in front of Chick-fil-A there, and it showed a double line, which is positive.
You was pregnant.
I was pregnant, guys, for coronavirus for time number 2. September 2020 was the first time I got it. 5 days, no smell, no taste. I had a slight fever one morning when I woke up. Took ibuprofen, knocked it down. Everything was great after that, no problem. The second time, this time, 3 days, no taste, no smell. Felt fine. No tiredness, no body aches, no fever, no nothing.
Really?
Yeah. I just had the head cold sniffles and like a little sinus pressure. But I was hunting. I was out and by myself. But I didn't stay home. I wasn't isolated inside the house.
No.
So
That's the best thing you could do for yourself is get out.
Fresh air.
Yeah. Best thing you do is get out and go hunt.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to the gym or nothing. I wasn't around any other people, but I went out and did stuff by myself once again. So by day 7, I was 100% better. Done. Got all my taste and smell back, and I went out.
Good.
So, but day 7, hey, look, I'm responsible for my own health. I was responsible enough to say, hey, I'm sick. I'm going to stay home and do other stuff by myself. But at day 7, though, I know they say it's 10 days, but at day 7, I was like, I'm over it. This is fine. This is good. I'm going to go out and I'm going to start dabbling around with eating out in a restaurant and stuff like that. So,
well, yeah, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
At that point, you're not
exactly.
You're not going to give it to anybody.
No,
even if it's just underlying and you're
exactly. And if I thought I was going to, if I still felt sick, I wouldn't have gone out. But I was 100% completely better by day 7. I'm like, this is pointless.
Which is how it should be. It shouldn't be everybody else stays at home and you go out because you're sick. Yeah. I want to go out and eat at a restaurant. You stay home, Hunter.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. It's like, who determined the 10 days in the first place? Who says 10 days? Well, who says 14? Who says 7, 5?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Why they say 10?
Which also got progressively shorter.
It did.
Yeah.
It started at 2 weeks. Now it's 10 days. But anyways, well, that's where we're at. So
I got COVID. God, what was it? I think last Thanksgiving. Yeah. So over a year ago, about a year and 1 month or something like that. I got COVID. I never got tested. I was just around someone who had COVID closely, so I knew I had COVID in the same household and everything. So I got COVID, didn't lose taste or smell, just like flu-like symptoms. I did for like a month. I was like very weak. Mm-hmm. Just like not body aches or anything, but just like when I go work out, it'd just be like nothing. Like even if I drank a Monster or took pre-workout, nothing. Yeah, wasn't there. But about 3 months after that, I started noticing a difference in my taste, like meat, like burgers, chicken, tasted like off. It was weird, and meat, the smell of meat and the smell of feces smelled the same to me, and it's been that way for about 8-9 months now. Ugh. Yeah, so when I would drive by a chicken house, I would smell like burgers. It's weird.
Yeah, just make sure you're looking at what you're eating. Good Lord.
Seriously.
Woo, buddy.
So I was just scrolling through TikTok, and me and Hunter were just talking about this before we recorded, and I came across this TikTok, and this guy had the same situation, and I hadn't figured out what was wrong. I was just kind of going with it, thinking it was just something with COVID. It was just going to pass. It was whatever. But so I saw this TikTok, and this guy was saying how he saw another video of a girl who got a vitamin, I guess it's considered, or it's an antioxidant. It's called alpha-lipoic acid. And he got it and took it, and it fixed everything for him. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. So I looked at the comments, and thousands and thousands of comments saying the exact same thing as I was like the meat. All meat tastes rancid and smells rancid to me, and I realized I'd never been able to put words to it. That's what it was. Meat tastes rancid to me. Everything. And some people are saying they could taste the chemicals in food, or it tasted like metallic, stuff like that.
Metallic taste. I've heard that.
Yeah. And so a lot of people were trying this, and they would come back and comment and say, "Hey, it worked." So I'm not a doctor, and don't take any advice from me, but I've been taking this alpha-lipoic acid for about 3 days now. and stuff is starting to change.
Really?
Smell and taste is starting. Yeah, it's
Really?
crazy.
No way.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you take it twice a day with a meal. It's just a pill, and So a lot of people said 3 days to a week, like in that range, it'll fix it.
Sure.
For good.
Yeah.
So what it is it's like there's these things in your body, if I'm correct. Again, I'm not a doctor, but they're called like free radicals that float around your body.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, in layman's terms, to dumb it down for myself, because I had to dumb it down for myself, it like goes out and attaches to it and basically gets rid of them. So apparently those free radicals is what causes that.
Cool.
Anyway.
Good.
So just throwing that out there. So yeah, I've also heard zinc. People take
tablets.
zinc.
Yep. I took vitamin C and zinc. I got some. They were prescription grade zinc and vitamin C tablets for my aunt.
Yeah.
And when my uncle had COVID, she's like, "Here, these are left over. Try these. Make sure you have some kind of food or substance in your body."
Yeah, they'll make you nauseous.
I was all on the sofa 30 minutes. I was like, okay, we're not doing this on an empty stomach again.
Yeah,
so
I've
zinc,
heard that from multiple people.
Yeah, I quit taking the zinc after that day one. I took vitamin C, and it was great, but I didn't touch the zinc again. It had me gun shy, so.
Yeah. So just, talk to your doctor if you want to get something, because they'll have, most doctors will prescribe something to you, or not even prescribe. I mean, this was the alpha-lipoic acid, even the zinc and everything is right over the counter. You can get it. It might just be at lower levels.
It is at your local Walgreens, CVS pharmacy, or Walmart.
There you go, sponsor. So, again, the same Instagram we were just talking about earlier also posted another article. That Real News No Bullshit on Instagram is a great source of news. I feel like now, and this isn't like sponsored or anything, but I feel like in today's world, I get all my news from Instagram and TikTok, and 99.9% of the time, it's absolutely 100% correct, and it's usually not what the media is reporting. So this Instagram posted a picture that said the Vatican officials breaks the silence on COVID, says that billionaires are using COVID to impose total control on the global population and are creating a surveillance state. Vatican distanced themselves from comments. Twitter is banning individuals who post interviews or who post the interview. So yeah, and as of 4:45 p.m. yesterday, Pacific Standard Time, this Instagram page had reached out to the Vatican and Twitter to get a comment on all of this, and they there's no update, so I'm guessing they haven't heard back yet.
Of course not, and they're not going to.
Crazy, man. I mean, it's what we've been saying, but it's surprising to see someone from the Vatican coming out and saying, or like, basically fortifying what we're saying.
Yeah.
Which I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of. So what do you think about that?
I mean, the Vatican, I don't know. They one side of me says they need to stay out of politics altogether.
They do. Yeah.
And I strongly believe that. That's my initial reaction. They just need to stay the hell out of it.
Yeah, but then again, they might. But the Vatican's very powerful.
Influence, I say, but the other side of me is like the influence they can have over politics in other countries and stuff, and the role they play because they are so powerful and big, and that might persuade some people into, I guess, smartening up a little bit, and getting some sense, or waking up from this nightmare. I mean, 2018, if you would have told anybody this stuff, like, no one would have believed this.
No.
And here we are now, looking for the end of it. But.
Did you see the, this is totally off topic, not really off topic, but did you see the chip that they're trying to do for COVID?
Yes, I saw it.
How many times did people say this in the very beginning about the chips?
Yes. They thought it was in the shot itself.
Right, but still, the general idea.
People are sticking magnets to their arms and stuff after they get the shot. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they're saying. Oh, there's chips in here, which I don't believe that.
No, either do I. But the fact that they're creating, I think it was out of like Switzerland or something.
Yeah.
They were creating a chip that goes into your hand that holds your vaccination status that you can scan to get into places. Like, dude.
Roof, I'm a dog.
Seriously. What, you got a microchip in you to track you?
Like a dog or a cat.
Seriously.
Or an animal.
The phone's...
Being treated like animal.
The phone's horrible, but you can break this phone in half if you want to. What are you going to do, rip this out of your hand?
Yeah.
And Andy Frisella was talking about this, made a good point. And he's like, so basically, when you don't follow what they want you to do, they're going to turn you off.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to fly. You're not going to be able to drive. Like, how long till you have to scan that chip to get in your car?
I mean, it's just like somebody somewhere will come up with something to get around it.
Oh, yeah.
Has
I
to
mean,
be.
again, but how are they going to, the vaccine, I don't know. The vaccine itself, them wanting to inject you with something kind of by force, by coercion, how they, implanting something in you is not much different.
No. Let me ask you this. Your honest opinion about the pill, Merck, that's making up. The vaccine pill from Merck?
I mean, if you want to take it, take it. I mean, cool.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, everyone has their right to their own health and their own choices.
Yeah. I mean, I still think, I think generally the vaccine is, I don't know if there's, I don't know about the study or the studying behind it and how long it's been in the how
it
long
hasn't been. It's all experimental.
Right. I mean, it is still under EUA.
Yes.
But if the vaccine helps somebody, then and it's you want to take it, take it. If the pill helps somebody,
is it less severe in your mind to take a pill versus inject something in your arm?
I mean, it all ends up in your bloodstream.
I know it does.
It's just one is faster than the other.
I talked to someone the other day about it. I'm like, would you take the pill? Well, yeah. Would you take the vaccine? No. But I'm like, why would you take one and not the other? And they just kind of sat there like, well, it's just a pill. I'm like, well, it's just a vaccine.
Do they not know how
it's
pills,
just a shot?
Do they not know how pills work?
I don't know about their intelligent level, but I was talking to someone about it, but I'm like, why would you take one, not the other? They both get to the same thing at the end.
I guess.
I don't like needles. Okay, but
the vaccine's kind of more invasive, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think the whole thing is a money making.
Follow the money. We said this from episode 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, and capitalism can be good, but capitalism can also be bad, like in cases like this, where like profit is a lot more important to people than tyranny.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill Gates invested in BioNTech and Moderna and Pfizer.
Crazy, right before
the
pandemic.
He did it right before the pandemic. He invested in them. I mean, he's made millions and billions off of these one companies.
Well, you just heard it in the video.
Companies.
The video that we played. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah, at the end. Yeah. Yep.
And he was saying it was a great investment.
Yeah, it was a great investment. I'm happy I did it.
So, how many Congress people do you think?
Oh, they're in on
invested?
it. They're in there.
Yeah.
Pelosi.
And then
Pelosi definitely did it because her husband.
Oh yeah.
They proved that he bought a bunch of stock in those companies.
Okay, well there you go.
So I did see that.
That's
come
her
across.
way around it.
Yep.
Because he's saying he did it, not
he did
her.
it, not her. Yeah.
But of course, but it's his money.
Oh sure.
She doesn't live off of that money.
Joint account.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I still think. I mean, I will stand by my word. It's a huge money making scheme.
Yeah.
Where you have them. You have the rich and the Congress, everybody in Congress, the president probably supporting these companies.
Sure.
Because stock and everything, buying their stock. And then you have those companies making this product, and then those people in return pay, or not pay, but in return push the vaccine, which then makes them money, but also makes the people invested money. It's a big circle.
Well, then you have Dum in the White House. Let's go, Brandon. Over there saying, "Oh, we just defeated. I totally annihilated. I'm going to annihilate this virus." By the way, Trump was the first one who worked on this Operation Warp Speed. Remember that? Warp Speed, get the vaccine,
Yep.
push it. And now Biden's taking credit for it. Go figure.
He also said, well, the White House put out, which is basically him saying, they put this out a few days ago, for the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your families, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm.
Don't you love the fear?
Right above that, we are intent on not letting Omicron disrupt work and school for the vaccinated. You've done the right thing, and we will get through this. And then they went on to say that about the unvaccinated. Dude, the absolute division. People want to talk about Trump, and say he was divisive, dude.
Dan Bongino, he just came across the wire here and said Biden finally admits he can't just shut down the virus, unquote, or quote unquote. So Yeah, Biden in 2020, I'm going to shut down the virus, quote unquote. Biden today, quote, there is no federal solution, unquote. That's what he just said in the press conference. He posted that 3 hours ago.
There's no federal solution?
There's no federal solution.
You want to know why? Because they tried. The only thing they had a solution was to push the vaccines.
Yes.
And everyone to get vaccinated. Now that's not working.
Yeah.
So of course there's no solution.
No.
So they just need to stop.
There's more people pushing against the vaccine than there is getting them. Than you realize.
Oh yeah.
Then everyone realizes. Of course, they're not going to cover it and they're going to get account for it. But there's a lot of people. I've got to interject here, and I've got to say this story. When I went to the health department to get my negative COVID test, because I have to show a negative COVID test when I go back to work, to be able to continue to work, go back. So I waited like a week after I got done feeling my symptoms, and then I was like, on Monday, the health department giving out free COVID tests. Okay, cool. I drive up. First girl walks in. I'm in my pickup truck, by the way. It's a drive-through COVID test site. So I drive up.
She already thinks you're a redneck.
Yeah, I did take my nice trucks. Yeah. So, anyways, I pull in. Girl comes up, had a KN95 mask on. She gives me information. Says when the next car pulls forward, go in this lane. Pulls forward in the lane. Lady walks up to me, full-blown white hospital gown, full face shield, double masked. I'm like, this is unreal. So I'm kind of laughing at that. She walks up to the passenger side, knocks on the window. I already had the driver's window down, so it's like you could see through there. I had it. She walks up, knocks on the passenger side. I'll put it down. She goes, "Excuse me, sir, can you put your mask on?" I told her, "No, I'm not." "Sir, I really need you to put your mask on." I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm really not putting my mask on." I was like, "Tell you what, go get the Q-tip and bring it back here. I can do my own test on myself." And then she goes back, gets the Q-tip, walks around to the driver's side window. She's like, "Sir, I have to do it." I was like, "No, you don't. The guy next to me did his own," which I'm looking at the car next to me, and the guy shoved his own up his nose doing it. And the girl's standing back. And she looks over at him, then back at me, and goes, "Well, okay, here you go." I'm like, 12 times in the nostril, right? She's like, "Yeah, it is." So I stick the Q-tip up my nose, doing 12 circles, right? And like circle number 5 or 6, she starts yapping and lecturing me on, "So look, I see over 100 people today who may be COVID positive. You putting a mask on is for my safety. That's why we ask you to do that." And I'm sitting there just looking at her with this thing shoved up my nose. Like, okay, do not care. But I pull it out and I give it back to her, and I'm like, "By the way, you are triple vaxxed, aren't you?" She looks at me, and she shakes her head up and down. I said, "Okay, you're triple vaxxed. Why do I have to put my mask on when you have all that equipment on? My liberties do not stop where your fear begins." And she just kind of marched away. Well, I sat there. I didn't know if I was done or not. So she comes up to the driver's side, and she's like, "You can have a nice day." I was like, "You do the same." And I felt I wanted to burn out so bad, but I didn't. I was nice about it and just drove off nonchalantly, laughing at the fact that I schooled this healthcare worker, which God bless you all. And if you're in healthcare, I appreciate you. I really do. But this one Karen,
she's an idiot.
Exactly.
I'll say it.
She wanted to be an idiot. I'm by myself in my truck outside. If I complied, here's what would have happened. I put my mask on to pull it down, to shove a Q-tip up my nose 12 times in a circle, to put my mask back up and drive off.
In your own vehicle.
In my own vehicle. Outside. I'm like,
the fact that she has all that stuff on and she doesn't realize that someone could literally cough in her face. Now, okay, so before I say this, that stuff she has on probably is protecting her. Mm-hmm. All that crap.
Well, I believe it.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it 100%.
That's fine. But her telling you to put your mask on to protect her, she's an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. I'm like, why? Why?
You could literally cough in her face.
Yeah. She's got a face shield.
Nothing's going to happen.
And double mask.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen.
She didn't need the gown, but whatever. I mean, like I said, whatever makes you feel safe, wear it. But here's the thing. Do not push the shit on me to wear it and me comply.
Oh, yeah. You know how many people...
For your fear.
I'll go out into Walmart. I'm not in a mask, but I'll see people walking around with double masks and a face shield in public. I'm going to laugh at you.
I laugh.
Because you look an idiot.
I have to.
But you do you, boo.
Yeah, it is.
Like, you look like an idiot, though. I'll tell you what. So, a lot of people, I think only a few people that follow the podcast follow my personal Instagram page. But I just took a cross-country trip with my friend.
Sure.
We went from Delaware basically all the way to California over, like, the course of, like, 4 or 5 days. And it was an interesting experience because when we got down south, because we went through Virginia, Maryland, Virginia, went into Tennessee, and then into Arkansas, and then Texas, New Mexico, and then Arizona and California. Wow, that was a test of my knowledge there.
There you go. You did good. You did good. I'm impressed. I'm sitting there following in my head. I'm like, okay, yeah.
As we went through each state, it was interesting to see, like, when we would stop to get gas or go to the bathroom or whatever, what each state was doing. I'll tell you what, from here to here to Arizona, it was nothing. No masks. Like, no one cared, especially in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
No one did anything. When we got to California, we went specifically to San Diego for 2 days. So we're all over the place in San Diego. We're going to restaurants, and they have mask signs up. While we were there, I believe it was the day we got there, Newsom put out another mask mandate.
I saw that come across my news flash.
Yeah, that was the day we got there. And all these restaurants had mask required signs on the front door. Now, there was one restaurant we did wear a mask, just it was a different situation. But basically everywhere else we went in San Diego, I didn't wear a mask. And not one time did we ever get told that we needed to put a mask on. We went to some really liberal parts of California.
I bet.
I mean, San Diego is known not to be too liberal, but we went to some very liberal parts of San Diego, and we were not the only ones maskless.
Oh, yeah.
There was people everywhere not wearing a mask.
Sure.
So don't even
They're
listen,
over it, too.
Don't listen to the crap.
They have been under siege this entire time. Versus, like, our state and other states between here and California have been more free. They've been let up. You know what I mean? When I went to Las Vegas, Nevada, you had to have masks on in any public area. Inside, even outside, it's unreal how many people had masks on. I'm just kind of like, okay, dude, whatever. But inside there, casinos and whatnot, I did not wear a mask unless I sat down at a table game because they wouldn't. You couldn't.
You
play.
can't do anything.
But I had security come walk up to me so many times. And security goes, "Sir, put your mask on." No, thanks. I just kept walking. "Sir, put your mask on." Nope. We got kicked out of 2 restaurants, or denied access. I shouldn't say kicked out, but we got denied. They will walk up, "Sir, can you put a mask on?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm exempt." And she just looks at me and proceeds to still hand me the mask. It's like, "No, I'm not wearing that." And she's like, "Well, I can't serve you." I'm like, "Okay, you can't get my money then, bye." And we walk right next door, and they let us in. No mask. I didn't wear a mask one time in Las Vegas, and everybody here was doing it and enforcing it. All you got to say is no. You've got to get used to feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, I will say, like, when we were going to California,
good,
we were supposed to go to, like, San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah, and, like, totally different than San Diego. And the guy I was traveling with is vaccinated. He's, which can tell you that you can be friends with people that are vaccinated. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get vaccinated, but he made the choice for his reasons. But I was telling him, I'm like, dude, I'm not vaccinated. So if we go to San Francisco, we're not going to be able to do jack squat.
Send him in to get your meal.
Yeah. And we didn't end up going. But, I mean, it's worth noting that San Diego, there were people wearing masks. A lot of people were, but a lot of people weren't. And it was funny because the one time I did wear a mask, I got looked at weird for wearing a mask by the people who weren't. I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Let's go.
I always test the waters out by walking in without one on and then seeing what happens.
Yeah.
But versus having one on and looking like the clown.
Yeah,
in the room,
we walked
elephant in the room.
Yeah, we walked into a restaurant, this upscale bougie restaurant. Okay,
yep.
We're in La Jolla, which is a very, very pricey part of California, and it was this 5-star restaurant. Everything's served under glass, and we walk in and we don't have a mask on. Right, we're standing there waiting for our table, and this other couple comes in that had a reservation, and they look like 2 random kids. They look, I don't know how to explain it, but they walk in and they get yelled at for not wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. and they're like, "You need to put a mask on." They're like, "Oh, sorry," and put on a mask. And I look at my friend, he looks at me, and I was like, "No." And for those who can't see, I'm shaking my head. No, we were like, "No." And when they said, party for him, my friend, I'm not going to say his name. We didn't put a mask on. No one said a thing, and we were confident, and we stood tall. We're like, we're not putting any. Screw that.
That's it.
And we walked to our table, and no one said a word.
Good.
In and out. That was the only time someone actually said something to somebody else. We never got talked to about it. That was in the hotel. That was in most of the restaurants that we went to. Now, when I went to the airport, it was a different story because I'm not dealing with that crap, the airport security and getting thrown off a plane, because that's a different story. But
yeah, do not mess with the aviation.
Yeah, they will kick you off a flight in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Which to me, I draw a line in the sand at one point or at some point, but that I want to get home.
Yeah.
So I'll take that.
Yeah. Plus, if they don't mess around with it, which sucks.
Yeah, it's not like you can walk out of it. It's not like a restaurant where you can go, all right, I'll go somewhere else.
Exactly. You paid money to get on there, and here's the thing. If you don't comply, they only give you like 2 chances. Please put your mask on. Please put your mask on. All right, get off.
There was somebody on my plane who wasn't wearing one, and the flight attendant walked up, and I was like, "Oh God, here we go." And he goes, "You need to put a mask on." The guy said no, and he's like, "You need to put a mask on." And he put a mask on, and the flight attendant was like, "Are we going to have any issues?" And the guy was like, "No." I was like,
"If you,"
I was like, "Uh oh."
Yeah.
But the airports, dude, the amount of propaganda, the amount of times I heard vaccine stuff, but the pilots
it's sickening.
Oh my God, the pilots will come over the intercom and be like, "My flight attendants are just a branch of my authority, and if you disrespect or if you disobey what they're telling you to do, then you're disobeying me, and I can kick you off the flight." Like every flight I had to do 3 flights that day.
Yeah, because everyone's getting violent now.
Yeah, it's getting pretty bad.
It's really bad. It's the worst it's ever been. And then now they're thinking alcohol is the reason. Which alcohol gives you liquid courage and makes you stupid.
Yep.
So okay, let's take that away. Guess what? It's not going to stop, and it hasn't stopped.
So maybe they wouldn't serve alcohol on the flight.
Yeah, that's why.
Is that why?
Yeah, there's no alcohol anymore. They took it away because people are being stupid. They're thinking the alcohol was a contributing factor, which was a little bit, sure. Oh. But here's the thing: you can still get beer inside the terminal.
Oh my God, there's a million people.
That's what I'm saying. You get a bar inside the terminal. If you're going to take alcohol away on the flights, you better take it away in the terminals too, because that's where they're getting drunk. They come on the airplane when they're bored.
Gets worse.
And you're already tuned in. Yeah.
Now tell me if I'm wrong, but I've always heard, and I believe it's right, if you say you're like 3 beers deep on ground, but then you go up in the air, it gets way worse.
Go to Colorado. Anywhere out there in the mountains? Yeah. The cabin I go to on vacation out in Colorado is 9,800 feet above sea level, where we're at right now.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. You could buy a 6-pack and it'd be equivalent to a 12-pack. I mean, you buy the 6th beer, you're feeling really good.
So when you're 30,000 feet up in the air.
Well, okay, if you're 30,000 feet up, your cabin altitude is still like 7,000 to 8,000 feet.
But it still affects you at some point.
It will. Yeah, it'll put you just go to sleep. I mean, it's just easier.
Yeah.
You just drift right off. It's great. That's why people drink when they go through the airports. It just passes the time. Then they get on the airplane. They just night.
Interesting.
It is. It's nice. So I enjoyed it, but so the CEOs though, back to the news.
Yeah, tell me what you're gonna say.
The CEOs of the majors, Delta, United, Spirit. By the way, shout out to Spirit. You guys are awesome. You never require the vaccine from the day one, and your CEO is the smartest one in my opinion because he's not woke like the rest of them. But anyways, so I saw a blip where Ted Cruz was drilling United Airlines CEO about the vaccines, the masks, and stuff like that. Before we get into so the CEOs all met, and all the CEOs of the major airlines were like, you don't need to wear a mask on the airplane. People are getting violent. They're getting stupid. They're putting our workers at risk. And the air is filtered more times up there than it would be in a normal regular restaurant or indoor activity area. And it's filtered and all this stuff. There's a less risk. But, of course, Congress, the Democrats want to argue that, oh, no, you're putting people at risk and it's unsafe and this and that. So the Democrats have made this a political deal. They really have, especially the mask. They love the mask.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, hence California, hence New York. But
With cases surging.
Cases surging. But it goes beyond that now because United Airlines only gave out like a very small handful of religious exemptions to their employees, the pilots, the flight attendants, and all. But Ted Cruz, there's a blip on TikTok I saw of Ted Cruz drilling the United Airlines CEO, asking him, how many people have you fired? How many pilots have you fired? He's like, I don't know, like 16. How many flight attendants have you fired? He's like, 12. How many people have you furloughed? He's like 80 or something like that. It's very low numbers. And Ted Cruz comes back. He goes, well, no, the union for the healthcare workers, for the pilots and stuff, actually have like over 2,600 of your employees at United Airlines that are sitting there saying that they're in trouble because they filed for this religious exemption and it was denied from United Airlines. And what ended up happening is they've lost their job, they've lost their insurance and all their retirement. Even they lost access to their retirement, who they worked towards. They lost access to everything because they wouldn't go get the jab because they applied for a religious exemption.
So is that CEO basically lying to Congress then? On the line?
Well, he didn't do much of the talking. Ted Cruz did much of the talking, so I don't know exactly what he said to lie. But the bottom line is they signed a non-compete. So you can't leave United and go work for Spirit. You can't leave Spirit and go work for another one for a certain amount of time.
Stupid.
So they got him. It's not a non-compete. If you go try to get it back, then...
So how are they going to do this mask stuff? Say, like, you don't have to wear a mask on a flight, and then turn around and do that to their workers?
Because of vaccine. Mask versus vaccine here. I know what you're saying. But they won't go get the shot. So... Yeah, and United Airlines is like, well, it's safety. My number one thing is safety to my customers and to keep everybody safe and everyone's safe. And Ted Cruz is like, all right, your pilots are locked in the front. Your flight attendants are sitting, and then they have come down an aisle serving drinks and snacks on a cart. He's like, it's irrelevant. It's invalid, your argument.
Yeah, the next thing, it's going to be that everyone that goes on a plane has to wear an oxygen mask. They're going to make them. They're going to wear the oxygen mask that drop down, so then
I guess.
No one's breathing the same air.
It's something, man. Yeah.
Seriously, that's probably the next thing.
This thing has gone so bonkers and out of control. I mean, like I said, and the airlines are just a small portion, but that's what you see on the news now because everybody's being stupid. And fighting with the flight attendants, fighting with each other. I watched a video where there was a gentleman sitting down. He was elderly, about probably 65 to 70 years of age. And maybe 75, to be honest with you. But he was sitting in his seat, eating and drinking. You could see him actually have a drink in his hand and a bag of popcorn on the table. And he had his mask down because he was eating and drinking. They say you got to put your mask up between sips and bites. Asinine. Freaking asinine. I'm going to put my mask down, have my meal and my oxygen, and then put my mask back up if I do it. Either way, so this gentleman is eating and drinking. I guess this Karen comes by, says, "You put your mask up." He's like, "I'm eating and drinking. I'm not putting my mask up." You need to put your mask up. And then she would not let up. So he's like, "Go sit down, Karen." And she started mouthing back to him, and it just escalated. He ended up calling her the B word. She said, "What did you call me?" And the flight attendants are already behind her, trying to say, "You need to sit down. You need to put your mask up." The guy's like, "No, I'm eating and drinking. I'm not putting my mask back on." And the flight attendant would not escort her back to the seat. So the gentleman called the lady a B word, and she just reared back and punched him right in the face.
Was this
sitting in
the emergency landing that had to happen?
Yeah,
okay.
I believe so. But anyways, and then even after that, the flight attendants just kind of were like, "Hey, you need to go sit down." They wouldn't put. You can't. Once you put hands on someone like that, then it's not good.
Especially in a plane.
Especially in a plane. And then you have the whole investigative thing and paperwork. So you have employees scared to put hands on someone because they're scared they're going to get the retaliation from it because of how woke and political we are now. If they're black, if they're white, if they're brown or whatever, racial profiling. The employees themselves, the flight attendants, they don't want to get put themselves in the position to jeopardize their jobs. So they're like, hey, you need to go sit down. You need to go sit down. Sir, you need to put your mask on. He's like, no, screw that. She just hit me. She just assaulted me. She's getting arrested when we land. So he's like, and he's bleeding. And the guy's like, you need to put your mask on. You need to put your mask on. I'm like, dude, I'm bleeding. The old guy is like, it's just unreal. The narrative, how it's changed, where we are at in the end of 2021, and the airlines with the masks. And I think the federal government just extended the mask mandate until March or April.
Wouldn't be surprised. And it's not. I think
So,
I think they're
continues.
going to try to push for the vaccine, like passports on planes.
Yeah, I see it happening.
And the plane, it's like even like people like Spirit who don't necessarily want the masks, they can't do anything about that because of the FFA.
Yeah,
Because they basically rule
FAA.
the.
But yes,
Or sorry, they basically rule the airspace,
yes.
so they can't do anything.
Yep.
They're going to tell them if you don't comply, you can't fly.
Yep. I don't know how. I'm scared. I'm scared to see what the future holds. 2022. I really am.
I'll leave you guys with this. I saw a meme, and it said 2022, 2022.
That's a good one. I haven't seen
Yeah.
any memes yet, but
Hopefully not.
man, I don't know. Where does this end? What's going to happen? Like I said before, get used to being uncomfortable, because I have a feeling it is coming possibly back. Not all the way, but I have a feeling things are going to change again rather soon and rapidly.
Yeah.
So today Biden had a meeting with all the governors about this Omicron variant, and which the CDC
is not even severe. It's
Exactly.
been proven.
CDC said that too. That's their quote. It's not as severe as the rest. It seems like.
So you have literally there's nothing to worry about.
Nope, never was.
The guy who discovered it in Africa literally said that.
Yeah.
He said this is not that big of a deal.
Yep.
But they're going to push it like it is because
Money.
more control, more money.
And once
So-
you get that vaccine, man, just get it. Just get the shot.
Just get it so we can get paid.
Exactly.
Please. All right. Well, I don't know what episode this is.
14 or 15?
14. One of those. 14 or 15. But I want to thank everybody for listening. Hunter, take us out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I tell you what, if you have anything you want to hear, we are looking for ideas. We are looking for people to chime in. Go follow us. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We have an email address, which is
AmericanSonsPodcast@gmail.com.
my man. Send us an email. Shoot us a message on Facebook Messenger. We have it connected to our phones. We will reply back to you.
Yeah, all three of us might reply by accident. Just like, you know.
That has happened before. So what should we talk about? Give us ideas for future episodes. We want to discuss your topics as well. So, be more than happy to have you express your opinions to us so we can shoot them back to you. But most importantly, do not forget to thank all of your local firemen, EMS, first responders, military for their sacrifice and service they have done for us in the past generations so we can be free and live in this society and call ourselves Americans. So my name is Hunter.
My name's Christian.
And this is American Sons Podcast. Happy New Year.
Thank you guys.
American Son.